Birch, no. Do not pick on the small cat. No. See, I just set a boundary for this dog right now. Yes, I know. Hi you guys, welcome back to my little corner of the internet. I hope you all had a fantastic week and you've been indulging in some self-care this weekend. Today we're going to be talking about a topic that I am quite passionate about, and that is the art of setting boundaries. If you saw my Instagram story, then you would know that this is actually the second time that I've filmed this video. After finishing editing it and kind of getting ready to upload it, I just came to the realization that I'm not that happy with how it turned out. It's a big subject matter, there's lots of different areas to cover, and I feel like I'm doing an injustice by trying to cram too much information into a little short video, so we're going to break it up into 3 parts, and today is the first of those parts. So again, I just want to clarify to you guys that this is my experience and my opinion around this subject matter. I'm not necessarily telling you exactly what to do, I'm offering you advice based on how I've learned to deal with these issues and how I've learned to set boundaries in these different areas of my life. So in my opinion, there are 3 main areas in your life that you can set boundaries. The first, which we will be talking about today, is boundaries within the workplace, whether that be an actual job or school, which in my opinion is just as much of a job. The second place that you can start to set boundaries is in your personal relationships, whether they be with friends or family. And the third is setting boundaries within yourself. Now, all of these different areas are going to take a different approach, which is why I thought it was very important to break up into a 3 video type format. So first, Birch, boundary. So first and foremost, let's get into talking about my definition of boundaries. Now, the way that I personally define boundaries is a limit on what you can tolerate. This can be in all of the different areas of your life. One of the best ways that I've seen to describe this is a meme that I recently saw on one of my friend's mom's Facebook pages, talking about how everybody's plate is different. These plates can be for all the different aspects of your life, and sometimes the plate is ceramic. Maybe it's a big plate, and it can hold a lot of crap on it. Maybe the plate is paper though, and it starts to bend and break when it gets a little bit too loaded up. Or even more so, maybe the plate has been broken before and it doesn't really hold up very well together. It's been patched into little pieces, or it's been little pieces patched back together, which affects the structural integrity of it. Now, this is not to say that if your work boundary, for example, has a ceramic plate, that your family plate will also be ceramic. Maybe your family plate is a little bit broken, that's been glued back together, or it was paper. And these are all things that we need to be comfortable with acknowledging. Not everything is going to affect us the exact same way. Boundaries that I put into place for myself might not necessarily be boundaries that are applicable to your life and your way of living. And I think it's really important to recognize that so that you're not too hard on yourself. In the past, I personally have been very hard on myself. I've seen people who are able to work 80 hours a week to support their family, pay off debt, achieve goals in a really short amount of time. And so then when I start to get overwhelmed with my basic Monday to Friday job, it makes me feel a little bit bad about myself. But in reality, maybe their work plate is ceramic, or it's a buffet style plate that can take a lot of stuff on it, where maybe mine is paper plate and it can't really handle that much. And I think that's a really important part of life, is being okay with acknowledging that what somebody else can handle might not necessarily be what you can handle, and to not be hard on yourself because of that. So Sage, you might be wondering, why should I be setting boundaries in my life? Well, my friend, that is a very good question that we are going to answer today. So by setting strong, distinct boundaries, it gives you the opportunity to create healthy relationships in your life. As well, you're prioritizing yourself, your mental health, your goals, the lifestyle that you want to live, allows you to reduce stress and the mental load that you have, and especially in what we're talking about today, it creates a distinction in between your home and your work life. So to set effective boundaries, you have to understand the reason why you're doing this and express it to whoever you're setting the boundaries in a thoughtful but firm manner. You need to understand the reason why you're doing this for yourself so that when you're questioned on it, and you will be questioned on it at some point by someone, you can express to them why it's important to you and why they need to respect it. A good example of setting work boundaries for me was when I was in school full-time. I also had a part-time job where I would work most evenings and weekends, and although it was really nice to have the extra income and financial security, after a while I felt myself getting really burnt out. A typical day would look kind of like this for me. Wake up, go to school, come home from school, get ready for work, go to work, come home, try and do some homework, go to bed, and then wake up and do it all over again. And while I was working on the weekends, I never really had a specific day off a week that I could just get stuff done for myself, such as groceries, hang out with my friend, laundry, keep up with the house. So after a while, I decided that it was important for me to speak to my boss and set it so that I had one guaranteed day off a week. For me, it was Sundays, so that I could always count on that day to get my important stuff done, take a little break from everything else that I had going on, maybe see some friends. Now that I work a Monday to Friday job, I've still found areas of the workplace that I need to set boundaries in for myself. My position is very demanding, and more often than not, people can need things from me at a moment's notice. So 3 to 4 days a week, I found myself just skipping my lunch to ensure that they could get those things from me to honestly portray myself in a good light in the workplace. I want to come across as an employee that works hard for her company. And I didn't really think that I could do that if I have to say, oh, well, give me a few minutes, I'm just on my lunch break, or something like that. But after doing that continuously, it got very exhausting, honestly. I wasn't giving myself a mental break from what I was dealing with at work. I wasn't eating properly, and it made it really hard to function as a good employee. So I've set in the boundary to take my lunch every single day. And while there are sometimes things that go by the wayside, that's important to ensure that I'm being the best employee that I can be for them. A second boundary that I found for myself in my current job is to make sure that I'm trying my hardest to not bring work home with me. Since I have a work phone, it's really easy to just get caught up in checking the work emails or replying to the texts, and while I do think to an extent it is good to be accessible, I also think that I contradict myself a little bit in that, because it's very important to have the time to yourself to be able to rest and recharge. Your whole life, to me, is not supposed to be about work. I'm one of those people who works to live, not lives to work. As much as I take pride and excitement in what I plan on doing with my life, I also don't think that my main purpose of living is to work. So setting aside the time for yourself in the evening to make sure you're doing things that you enjoy is really part of living a full, well-rounded life. So my best advice to you in setting your own workplace boundaries is to figure out the area of your work life that really causes you the most stress. Once you've identified where the boundary needs to be set, it allows you to create a plan of attack that's going to work for whatever you need to restrict, so to say. Maybe you do need the day off a week and you have to talk to your boss and impress upon them the importance of you getting that day to make you be a better employee for them. Maybe you need to turn off your work phone when you get home from work. Again, I really hope this isn't coming across as blanket statements and me saying that this is going to just solve all your problems, because it is my opinion and how I've gone about setting boundaries. It's a little bit hard for me to give everybody advice because I don't know your personal situation, and there are so many different reasons why this might not work for you. Maybe you want to talk to your boss but they are unreceptive to what you have to say. Maybe you want to quit your job and you can't because you have to support your family. As I said at the beginning, sift through what I have to say and try and take any little bit that might make it easier for you to cope. The next video in our little mini-series about boundaries is going to be setting them with the relationships in your life, whether they be friends or family, and how to deal with the adverse reactions that might come along with setting those boundaries. Well, that's going to be all for today's video, you guys. I really enjoyed getting to share my perspective on workplace boundaries with you. Leave me a comment down below sharing anything that you think is an important boundary that you want to set in your life, and I look forward to talking to you next week. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next week. Bye!